Hello everybody and welcome to my March and April bullet journal flip through. I apologize for the late video this week, but I got sick on Tuesday and so I really wasn't feeling up to it for a while there. Don't worry, it's not Corona. We're still in quarantine. We're all still safe. We are now June 2020 and the weather's getting hot. After the catastrophe that was my February that didn't get filled out, I decided that I needed to take things down like a whole lot of notches and go for a super simple spread for March and April. It also ended up being really helpful because they happened to be the two probably most busy months of the year. And when I say year, I mean school year. Because before Corona happened, I was supposed to put on a play, Mary Poppins, with my school. And rehearsals were getting really intense towards the end of it, and I was out till 10 o'clock every night, and I really just didn't have a lot of time to do some bullet journaling. I was working like a dog. I had big assignments, and I had videos that I was editing for other people. It was a lot. So I wanted something simple that can get me through and keep me organized, which is kind of the main point of bullet journaling. It doesn't always have to look super pretty. So for March, I decided to go for a more colorful theme. I just took a bunch of my mild liners that I didn't use as often, and I used those throughout the month. So this is just a sort of confetti type of intro page that I made for March. And then I used those same colors intermittently throughout the entire month. So for gratitude, I just had a simple header and then I highlighted every second line, alternating between the colors that I was using just to keep it a little bit more dynamic. And then I did the same thing for the sleep log, except it was highlighting like how many hours I've slept. Moving on, this is what my March 2020 was supposed to look like. As you can tell, it got really busy towards the end. Anytime you see a little red star like that, I had my Mary Poppins rehearsals, and then there were the big stars like that are the actual Mary Poppins shows that were supposed to happen. But then you could see the 13th to 29th was canceled. And in previous months, I had written a whole page or double page spread for my homework calendar. Instead, I just did a little chart on the side, which also worked pretty well for me because at this point in the semester, I wasn't getting any simple homework projects. It was just all of my big assignments that I had to finish up. Everything for this month felt like a lot for me. So as you can see, I have these stickers that say day off as well, and to me that's really important to see when I had days off because I really didn't get a lot of them, and I really needed to see when I could take time for myself to do what I wanted to do instead of focusing on what other people wanted me to do. So that was supposed to be the gist of March 2020, but it clearly didn't happen how it was planned. After that, it was just my weeklies, and I did this alternating the different colors as I always do throughout the rest of the month. Towards the beginning of the month, you can see I had a lot of stuff that I had to do, and I was filling out my hourly charts. But once quarantine started around here, everything is just kind of empty because I didn't have anything that I needed to do. Towards the end of the month, I decided that I needed to have some sort of a daily routine, so I started penciling in like the simple things like having breakfast, getting dressed, making my bed, and it really helped me focus on keeping up with, living while just staying at home all the time. And then lastly for March, when quarantine was announced, I decided that I had these 2 weeks. I wanted to get as much done as I possibly could. And for me, these 2 weeks honestly were bliss. These 2 weeks of quarantine that I wasn't anticipating, I didn't actually think it was going to happen, but it did end up happening. It was really wonderful. I got to make my whole Merida cosplay and a bunch of other things as well. So me being a workaholic, I really needed and I really wanted to take advantage of that time. So I made a Corona self-isolation to-do list. And yes, that is it for March. The reason I'm doing March and April in the same video is because they are very much alike. I fully expected quarantine to only last 2 weeks, and I fully expected us to be able to go back to school and work and everything immediately afterwards and still have the play run and everything be okay. I'm ashamed to say that I was very badly misinformed before we were given months off. Granted, I do love having this time off, but I also set up April towards the end of March, so it wasn't announced yet. So I set it up the same way I did March because that system worked really well and it was really simple for my busy schedule. Pretty much the biggest difference from March to April is the color scheme. I decided to go for a more plant-based theme, so greens and browns this time. So I have a cute little intro page that I made saying April 2020, and then I have my gratitude log highlighting every second line in green. I did my sleep log as well, and this looks like a mess, but it made total sense for me. This is the homework calendar that I set up when it was announced that all of my classes were going to be moved online. At first, it was harder to organize what things were happening and when things were due, because I wasn't actually going into class and seeing my teachers and classmates. So writing all this out really helped me figure it out in my brain. Moving on, like at the end of last month when I started penciling in the more daily routine type stuff, I continued doing that for pretty much the whole month of April. I also ended up adding a little water tracker to keep myself healthy despite being in quarantine, and alternating every weekend I would do laundry versus watering my plants. So you'll see that I wrote plants on the bottom of this page for this weekend, and then the following week I put a sticker for laundry. Now, I only decided to do this later, which is why it's at the end of the month instead of at the beginning with my sleep log and my gratitude log and whatnot. But I decided to start up my habit tracker again, and instead of making a big chart with a bunch of squares, I just drew out circles. And it's just so much simpler to just dot in a little circle when you did things. Besides that, I made a sort of to-do list of bigger projects, things that I wanted to complete that I couldn't just put on any day because they would get lost within everything. I liked putting it in categories because that helped me organize my thoughts and see what I was looking for. So I had this category of to watch list, I had cosplay stuff that I wanted to do, other stuff I wanted to do, and sort of housekeeping, so like cleaning my drawers and whatnot, you know, that type of thing. Lastly, I kind of went down a rabbit hole that month, and I wanted to write down all of the different Barbie movies in order of publication. If you don't know this about me, I actually really like Barbie movies. I kind of grew up on them. And like the first few are like iconic and I love them, but I never really saw the last few, so I wanted to actually like see all of them in order and see how Barbie as a company has really evolved over time. I haven't actually started this marathon yet, but I really want to do that eventually. That is my March and my April 2020 in my bullet journal. Really quite simple, but enough to get me through the beginning of quarantine. I hope you enjoyed.